CEO Amanda. Hi Amanda, hi Wendy.
Thank you, Bianca.
来给 Wendy 和 Amanda 掌声欢迎他们。
Hi Amanda, thank you so much for joining us. From where?
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here. I'm in Italy right now, but I'll be back in Hong Kong in just a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's early morning.
It's
Thank
Monday.
you so much. Yeah, good morning. Yeah, so how about first give us a brief introduction about yourself and serotonin, and especially like what is the core problem is serotonin trying to figure out in the Web3 space?
Absolutely. So I'm Amanda Cassett, aka Amanda.eth. I was on the early Ethereum team where I was the marketing and PR gal. I was chief marketing officer at Consensus from nearly the beginning through 2019, where I built the first Web3 marketing team and the team that brought Ethereum to market, along with MetaMask, Infura, Truffle, Gitcoin, Consensus itself, and all kinds of other Web3 projects. About 4 years ago, I started Serotonin, which is now the largest global Web3 go-to-market firm. Also published a book last year called Web3 Marketing, which is the first Web3 business book from a major publisher. That's available everywhere online now, and it's actually being translated into Mandarin and is supposed to come out from Cheers Publishing and be distributed all over Asia this fall. So super excited about that. The core problem that Serotonin was created to solve is that a lot of the best teams building in Web3 are focused on engineering and R&D, as they should be. And as far as user acquisition, growth, go-to-market, that's really where we come in as a complement to that R&D and engineering-focused project team. So we started working with Web3 native startups, helping them with content, social, PR, paid growth marketing, branding, visual, basically everything you need in order to actually acquire users and become successful. Since then, we've expanded into strategy, compliance and legal, recruiting, advisory, in order to provide the complete go-to-market suite for every project, both native to the Web3 space and also big companies coming into Web3, the Robinhoods, the PayPal, some of the bigger players.
Yeah, quite impressive, and it seems that you're a real OG here. And speaking of go-to-market strategy, we're talking about East meets West. So how do marketing strategies for Web3 projects differ between East and West?
It's actually interesting in that it's evolved a lot over time, and strategies are being shared now more than ever between East and West. When I first started working in this space in 2015, 2016, the main difference that I observed was that a lot of the strategies in the West are owned and earned focused strategies. So strategies that take place on your own channels, like your blog, your social media, your own hosted events and meetups, and then earned. So coverage that's earned by media, podcasts, YouTube shows. And in Asia, I observed that a lot of marketing was pay to play. A lot of media outlets require payment in order to publish a story. Conferences and events often charge in order to get a speaking engagement. And the prevalence of paid influencer and KOL marketing was huge compared to the West, where projects really needed to establish authenticity. If people felt that they were being represented by paid influencers, it could actually damage a project's reputation because it was really important to build community authentically. I think in Asia, there's a lot more acceptance and baseline assumption that messages are paid for, stories are paid for. Whereas in the Western world, there's a much more prevalent concept of editorial relevance, that things get coverage, that stories get written without being bought and paid for. Interestingly, today, we're seeing a lot more convergence of these two worlds. I think that in APAC, there's a rising trend of really high quality editorial media emerging. that covers stories for their story value and newsworthiness rather than pay-to-play messages. And conversely, the prevalence of KOL and influencer marketing, paid marketing in the West is also increasing, as is those strategies feeling more acceptable to audiences. So we're seeing this really interesting convergence of, let's call it a Silicon Valley marketing playbook with a Shenzhen marketing playbook.
Yeah, so that's why it's so important for us to understand each other, and that's also why we're creating Foresight 2024 to set up as a platform to help the two different kind of world engage with each other. And during this Foresight 2024, we also have so many Web3 owners, co-founders, developers in the APAC world. So what are the most significant challenges APAC Web3 projects face when trying to enter Western markets from your own perspective?
Yeah, so I'll share some examples from our practice at Serotonin. So I've actually been living in Hong Kong as we grow in Asia. I'll be back in just a couple weeks. Sorry, I couldn't be there in person today. But we've been growing really rapidly, and we've been working with Western projects, helping them get into the various APAC markets, and also with APAC originated projects that have local product market fit that want to go global and also penetrate the, let's call it the English cascade sphere of influence market, and all the languages things in English get translated into. I'll give you an example. When we started working with Memeland, I looked at their Discord, and the numbers were just huge to me. The number of Discord participants, the number of Twitter followers, and it looked so big, it looked fake. And it's not, it's absolutely real. Those are all real users, and that project has so much incredible momentum behind it. But I think Western folks are used to smaller numbers of users and smaller numbers of followers. And the reason for that is it's actually much easier to acquire new users or new followers in Asian markets because of how widespread young people are that are very mobile first, that are willing to try out or adopt a new project. So the actual activation threshold to join a community or to try out some technology or to adopt something is actually much lower. So you can really pick up much higher user numbers, follower counts that are real users and followers in the various APAC markets than you can in the West. And so I looked at those numbers and I had to really verify to myself that they were real. And so to Western audiences, projects can look fake or scammy, especially if they feel like they're from a different country, or you might not, understand exactly how their community or audience was built or how it works. And so I think that puts an extra onus on APAC-based projects that do have that local product market fit, that have real audiences and users, to do a good job verbally and visually brand positioning themselves to feel English native, so that a Western audience member will see it and not feel that it's scammy and not be skeptical of it, and to also earn the social proof necessary to demonstrate to that audience member that that project has real users and real product market fit. And I can give you an example of another project that we've been working with Galaxy for a long time. They have that great questing platform. They also launched Gravity, the L1. They've done a really successful job penetrating global markets, and they've worked with so many really top quality Western originated infrastructure projects. And they show on their website that, all of these leading infrastructure projects have worked with them. And once one project in the West sees that they've worked with another one, that helps build this third-party social proof. So having these conversations that don't scale, earning a couple of customers, doing a great job by them, and then projecting to the world that you have those partnerships in place helps earn trust. Then the last thing is building media relationships. Because the media environment is a less pay-to-play climate, you have to actually invest the time in building interpersonal relationships with business partners, with members of the media. You can't just buy coverage. And even approaching it that way is really off-putting. to the Western media, I would recommend not even offering or mentioning that, because they think of themselves as and are journalists, and they're covering stories because of their newsworthiness. And so building these long-term relationships with the media so that they understand who you are and can trust you and understand your background and your motives is going to make them more likely over time to cover you. So sometimes those investments are long-term. Sometimes it takes a year to get that really incredible feature story from a top-tier publication in the West, from when you first meet that journalist to that story coming out. And that's all a good use of your time.
Yes, you mentioned about trust a lot. I think every time when we talk about East meets West, I think credibility, trust, building is always the most important things. I think you touched a bit about this question, but I still want to ask, like, what strategies have you found most effective for building trust and credibilities with global audiences?
Yeah, I would say, so just to break it down, I think it's important to take, if you have a project that is Eastern originated, that has local product market fit, it's important as you try to go global to re-examine your visual and verbal branding to make sure it's going to resonate with a global English first market. And it may make sense to do a brand refresh in order to make sure that that resonates with that audience. Then social proof. So demonstrating credibly that you have real customers, that you have real users, that you have real followers. That's really important. And then building these long-term trust relationships with media is really essential. So there's a branding aspect, there's a long-term relationship building aspect, and then there's third-party social proof. What you say about your own project is only so credible, but what others say about you is much more credible. So having your branding and messaging in the mouth of a trusted third party who already is reaching those audiences is really important. And I guess what I would add is there's no trick. There's no way to buy this. There's no shortcut. It's about putting in the work. It's about trying to find real product market fit. It's about doing things that don't scale in order to build relationships that lead to having 1,000, 10,000 really rabid followers and community members before you can expect to have millions. It's about doing it the right way. Of course, there are ways to spend money more efficiently. Of course, there are tactics that work better than others, but there's no way to fake it.
Yep, thank you. They are all very practical suggestions, and I think this is a quite insightful and very educational conversations at the same time. I hope everybody here benefit from this conversation, but due to the limitation of time, we have to conclude the conversation here. I look forward to our next conversation very soon, and thank you very much, Amanda. I will give the stage back to Bianca. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you.